Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. I'm Linda Light, and I wanted to bring you some important news about the X-class flares and the CMEs that are popping off from our sun. I think it's really important that we pay attention to signs on the outside. We know that we are in a pole shift. It's a process. It's taking time for the poles to move, the magnetic poles of Earth. Now, whether that happens every 6,000 years and the poles slowly start to move until they meet up, this time it's somewhere near the Indian Ocean, um, and then go back to their respective places and locations, whether it's a 6,000 year cycle or whether it's a 12,000 year cycle where they actually do a complete reversal in location, is anybody's guess. So I haven't been able to find anything yet in my research about whether we're in a 6,000 year or 12,000 year cycle, but really doesn't matter. Well, we're not going to be around 6,000 years from now anyway. So this is an important event that is currently taking place on this planet. So it's important to tie in information that affects our weather, that affects our whole planet. So we've heard about global warming. Now we hear about climate change. What we're being told is that we're blamed as humans, that we're causing this. And what we're not being told is things like space weather. The weather from the sun actually affects Earth's planet's weather. So I wanted to share a couple of videos with you that came out recently. We actually had a major X flare that popped off yesterday on Sunday, April the 17th. Today is April 18th, Monday. Hello and welcome if you're new to my channel. So what I'm going to do is share with you two different videos, but I'm going to share with you these sites. They're wonderful sites to get information about these solar flares and CMEs and what's happening. And one of the fellows is actually retired from the Air Force. And, you can go to their channel and do your own research if you want. I'm only going to show you parts of it. And if the links are always in the description box if you want to watch more. So the first one I want to share with you is, here we go. Yeah. So this, I'm going to play just a little bit. Let me see. Here we go.
April the 18th, 2022. Guys, you're looking at images of our sun, and this goes back for a couple of days. Yesterday, on the 17th,
Look at the size of that.
From one of the largest groups of sunspots that I've seen. There's the flare. We'll look at it a little closer. Now, it's not an Earth-directed flare. It did ionize the atmosphere over parts of Asia, but the CME is blasting out to the left. This is the SDO camera. It gives you an Earth-facing perspective of our sun. But again, this hole up there, this section of, it's not really a hole, but it's a disturbed area of the sun with multiple sunspots, and it makes it look very large. We'll look at it a little closer right here, but the area of it is gigantic.
It's massive.
It's hard to put a scale to it, but it would take 109 of our planets. If you took a picture and scaled it to the actual size compared to the sun, and just on the Earth-facing side that you see in these images, it would take 109 of our planets, so multiple Earths to fit into that hole. But why is this sunspot becoming so active? And now we have a 25% chance of X flares for the next few days. We have a 90% chance of M and C class flares. The guy's Mercury is right there. Now, what you're looking at,
Mercury,
and the white dots
taking the hit.
are Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Now, Earth is in the green dot. Mercury is on that side of the sun, and it's at its closest section of the orbit. If you'll take pause on this and take a look at it, that it's at its closest approach to the sun. Every planet does that. Jupiter does it 11.8 years, which coincides with the solar cycles. But check out the size of these sunspots coming around this limb.
Yeah, that's pretty massive, isn't it? So I theorize something about Mercury taking these hits, and with astrology, we need to tie this in with astrology. I'll talk about that in a minute. Another little part of it here. Let's see, 223, 222. Here we go.
Because you see the multiple colors in the sunspots at top left. You got, I think, 294, 293, something like that, 2994. But the different colors represent different magnetic polarities. And when they arc together, you get these X flares and other flares. But look at the size of this area, guys. And Mercury's right there with it. Mercury travels very fast, so we always have to watch it when it comes between us and the sun.
Yeah. Between us and the sun. So different magnetic polarities. Look at that. Look at the size of this. It's just absolutely amazing. Pretty incredible stuff. All right. Now the next part here. Here we go. Just a little bit more from this one. And again, you can watch the whole video if you want.
On Solar Ham yesterday, this is when we had that X1 flare. Then you've had some M4s, notice that, and M4 is the second one yesterday. But these different peaks on this graph represent those explosions. 99% chance of C flares, 75% chance of M flares, 25% chance of X flares. Guys, that is a very strong chance of X flares now.
Okay. Pretty intense, huh? So I theorize, and I'm theorizing that astrology is linked to this too. So when there's CMEs and the density and the plasma is coming out and shooting out, you got Mercury there. It's affecting the planet. It's structurally changing the density and intensity of what that might be. So I would suggest, and it's just a theory, it's my theory, I would just suggest taking a look at where Mercury is in your personal chart, or if there's any squares particularly. So be aware if there's any squares with Mercury in this past week with you in your personal chart. Look at what house it's in, see where that disruption may be or blocks may be. And just think of what Mercury means to you, like in communications and things like that. So you might actually have a trine or a sextile or all that. I'm still learning a lot about astrology, so definitely not an expert. Again, it's just my theory. But I would strongly suggest taking a look at where that is in your chart and how that might be affecting you over the next week, because we've got some massive things coming this week. Now, the next one that I would like to play for you is right here. Let's see, give me one sec. Make this bigger so you can see it. And there we go. Okay.
Star. I'm in full-scale watch mode. There are several eruption watches from filaments to the northern active region, and if someone had told me that after yesterday morning's X-class solar flare, which is the spike you see in the middle, that we'd have 4 more M-class solar flares and 2 smaller, longer duration eruptions, I would have bet we'd had CMEs coming at Earth, but we do not. The flaring and eruptive activity has entirely been near the limbs, incoming on the north, departing on the south. Right now, the big sunspot group up north is in most focus. It retains the big flare potential and is likely to produce the space weather stories over the next several days, but nothing yet. Couple quick notes here. Special survey of magnetic sites in Israel revealed more powerful fields than were found even at high latitude, where they thought the magnetic poles and strongest fields should be. They plainly recognized the repeating disaster of a pole shift, a non-dipole axial setup, during the excursion and reversal, and found it zeros down to both 100,000 and 12,000 year timescales of the Holocene variability.
That's important.
Yes, that is the cycle happening again now.
Happening right now.
Also, folks, Kilafarska is one of the most cited authors in our solar terrestrial physics textbooks, and this chapter of the upcoming book they have is free to read. It only lightly touches on the breadth of solar particle forcing and adds a new one of lower atmospheric ozone modulation, but hey, it is a free peek into the major progress in solar climate forcing, making it into other textbooks now.
All right. So there's 2 different sites. I have the links in the description box if you want to watch the whole videos. We've got BP Earthwatch and Suspicious Observers. They do excellent work. You may or may not agree with their personal opinions. You may you want to skip to just the scientific research that they do, which is what I like to do. But I like to tie this in now in my theory with astrology. So if there's a planet that's facing a CME, which ejects the density and the mass out, it takes almost 3 days, I guess, to get to Earth, whereas a solar flare happens within 8 minutes. So we learn that difference now. That's light coming versus more dense CMEs. So with the CME sending photon particles to Earth and affecting the northern lights and affecting the geomagnetic field of Earth, which affects the Earth weather, with those things happening, when you have a planet that's directly affected by the CMEs, that planet is also being affected. So I guess we should keep our eye on Mercury and what that's doing. And as always, if you guys want to send me an email if you have any questions, lindalight2012@gmail.com. I will be seeing you next time. Have a great day. Be a little bit better today than you were yesterday, and don't be food. Hi, this is Linda. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, this is Linda. Thanks for tuning in. If you resonate with this video or if you receive some benefit from it, would you please consider sharing it? Thanks for your support.